This is Deuteronomy chapter 21, which starts off with instructions for handling unsolved murders. The problem is that blood pollutes the land, Numbers 35:33. A polluted land vomits out its inhabitants, Numbers 18:28. The only thing that removes the pollution is the blood of the killer, Numbers 35:33. Therefore, Yahweh said, execute murderers, Exodus 21:12. But how should Israel remove the pollution from the land when they can't find the murderer? Here's the procedure, Deuteronomy 21, verse 1. If someone is found slain in the land which Yahweh your God gives you to possess, lying in the field, and it isn't known who has struck him, then your elders and your judges shall come out, and they shall measure to the cities which are around him who is slain. It shall be that the elders of the city which is nearest to the slain shall take a heifer of the herd which hasn't been worked with, and which is not drawn in the yoke. The elders of that city shall bring the heifer down to a valley with running water, which is neither plowed nor sown, and shall break the heifer's neck there in the valley. The priests, the sons of Levi, shall come near, for them Yahweh your God has chosen to minister to him, and to bless in Yahweh's name. And according to their word shall every controversy and every assault be decided. All the elders of the city who are nearest to the slain man shall wash their hands over the heifer whose neck was broken in the valley. They shall answer and say, our hands have not shed this blood, neither have our eyes seen it. Forgive, Yahweh, your people, whom you have redeemed, and don't allow innocent blood among your people Israel. The blood shall be forgiven them. So you shall put away the innocent blood from among you, when you shall do that which is right in Yahweh's eyes. Comment: to remove the defilement or pollution of an unsolved murder from the land, the elders should take a heifer, which is Hebrew eglah. This is a female calf that's nearly grown. Therefore, this animal has never produced a calf of its own. And also the heifer must have never plowed or worn a yoke. So we have here an animal that's right on the edge of being useful, but has not yet fulfilled any of its potential at all, either for producing milk or offspring, meat, for doing work, or anything else. So the killing of this heifer represents the snuffing out of a life before the proper time. Verse 4, they shall take the heifer to a valley with running water, which is neither plowed nor sown. This is a place that's prime for agriculture, but nobody's using it. Here again, this valley represents unfulfilled potential. It represents all the things that were left undone by the murdered person. So in summary, Yahweh has devised a ceremony that reveals his love for the victim and his sorrow for a life cut short, for things left undone. Yahweh's mourning the victim. Also, it's the community's chance to agree with Yahweh that such a thing should not be done. Coming next, an interesting and symbolic section about female captives taken in war. Verse 10. When you go out to battle against your enemies, and Yahweh your God delivers them into your hands, and you carry them away captive, and see among the captives a beautiful woman, and you have a desire to her, and desire to take her as your wife, then you shall bring her home to your house. Comment: a soldier has gone out to battle. He saw a female captive. He thought she was beautiful, and he brought her home. He wants to take her as a wife. As Yahweh's about to say, he can't do that right away. Going on, she shall shave her head and trim her nails. She shall take off the clothing of her captivity, and shall remain in your house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. Comment: it's obviously a tragic situation for the woman, but there's nothing she can do to change anything. The shaving of the head, changing of the clothing, and bewailing the parents are all part of leaving the past behind. It takes time. In this case, Yahweh prescribed a month. Going on, after that you shall go in to her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. It shall be, if you have no delight in her, then you shall let her go where she desires, but you shall not sell her at all for money. You shall not deal with her as a slave, because you have humbled her. Comment: after the woman has mourned, the only thing that makes sense is to look to the future. She has a husband, and she can take delight in him if she wants, and he'll take delight in her. He thinks she's beautiful, but if she doesn't please him, he'll free her to go wherever she wants. So there's practical advice here for us. We have no choice but to leave the past behind. And since God is God, we always have a future, and we should leave the mourning behind as well. It's our best choice to be happy in the present, but it goes farther than that. there's also symbolism or parallelism here to our relationship with the Lord. Sometimes He strips us of our old life and we can't get it back. We could be happy with Him. He's awesome. He's a dream catch. But if we'd rather walk away from Him, He'll let us. It's obviously going to be a big mistake, but He will let us. He thinks we're beautiful. He loves us. He'll treat us tremendously well if we desire to stay and please Him. There's going to be great joy to completely eclipse everything we've left behind. Now coming up, another situation that also has prophetic parallelism, verse 15. If a man has two wives, the one beloved and the other hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, if the firstborn son is hers who was hated, ordinarily the firstborn son should get a double portion of inheritance. But the man in question has a firstborn son that came by a wife he hates. What should he do? Verse 16. Then it shall be in the day that he causes his sons to inherit that which he has, that he may not give the son of the beloved the rights of the firstborn before the son of the hated, who is the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the firstborn, the son of the hated, by giving him a double portion of all that he has, for he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. Comment: the obvious and practical meaning here for ancient Israel is that the man shall give the firstborn son the double inheritance, even if his relationship with the mother has gone sour. But I believe there's more here. Yahweh called Israel the wife of his youth, Isaiah 54:6. However, his relationship with Israel has been rocky all along. As Stephen said about Israel, quote, which of the prophets didn't your fathers persecute, Acts 7:52. However, Yahweh had sons by Israel, believers in other words, and she's still providing him with more sons all the time. Many Jews are still coming to the faith. But Yahweh also took the Gentile nations as wife, Acts 10:45, and he's had sons or believers by her as well. So we might take this passage to mean that in some way, I don't know what way, but in some way Yahweh's sons by his first wife Israel will receive some sort of double inheritance when it comes time to divide the inheritance. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out in eternity. Now on to a section about rebellious sons, which definitely has layers of meaning as well. Verse 18. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and though they chasten him, will not listen to them, then his father and his mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his city and to the gate of his place. They shall tell the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. All the men of his city shall stone him to death with stones. So you shall remove the evil from among you. All Israel shall hear and fear. Comment: I don't know of any instances in Israel where this actually took place, but the penalty for rebellion is death. First the son shall be chastened, but if that doesn't turn him around, there's no remedy. So that's obviously the way our Father God deals with us. He chastens us, and if that doesn't work, we should take warning from this passage that the outcome won't be pleasant. Now a short section on another subject, also prophetic, verse 22. If a man has committed a sin worthy of death, and he is put to death, and you hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain all night on the tree, but you shall surely bury him the same day. For he who is hanged is accursed of God, that you don't defile your land which Yahweh your God gives you for an inheritance. Comment: Galatians 3:13 in the New Testament indicates that these verses refer to Christ. Verse 23, he who is hanged is accursed of God. Jesus was hung on a cross and became cursed of God in our place. Galatians 3:13, quote, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law, having become a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree, end quote. He took on the curse that belonged to you and me. That's the chapter. Deuteronomy 22 is next at landofhavilah.net. Deuteronomy 22.